$45 billion for mayonnaise and garlic powder. I'm telling you, McCormick is overpaying for Unilever's food division just to own the barbecue aisle.
Oh, come on. It's $29 billion in equity. They're buying $20 billion in projected revenue by next year. It's a brilliant scale play.
It's a grocery cart monopoly?
Your banker is showing, but while you complain about the price of paprika, Apollo is quietly dropping $10 billion on private jets. The rundown: $33.4 billion. I checked the terminal 3 times to make sure that was not a typo. GIP and EQT are actually teaming up to swallow AES Corp whole.
The infrastructure appetite right now is absolutely feral. You have these mega funds sitting on mountains of dry powder, and they just need massive places to park it. Power grids are the new SaaS.
Well, they better hope the grid holds up, because Primora Services just dropped $422 million on Pinecrest Electric.
The data center play.
Exactly. Everyone wants to sell picks and shovels to the AI gold rush. But over $400 million for a regional electrical contractor. The multiples are getting entirely disconnected from reality.
I disagree. If you cannot get power to the servers, your $1 trillion AI model is just a really expensive paperweight. It is a highly strategic maneuver.
It is an expensive maneuver.
Speaking of expensive, my former brethren in the sponsor world are passing the private jet parcel again. Apollo is reportedly snatching Atlantic Aviation from KKR for $10 billion.
$10 billion for fixed-base operators.
Hey, billionaires need places to fuel their Gulf Streams. It is a highly defensive asset class. Maya.
Oh, come on. Is parking private jets really a defensive asset class?
Completely recession-proof. Rich people hate commercial terminals way more than they hate losing money.
I am looking at the debt load they're going to need to clear $10 billion, and I'm already sweating. We should watch for the final signatures on that tomorrow.
Fair enough. How about Novartis grabbing Excellergy? $2 billion to beef up their immunology pipeline.
Up to $2 billion.
Here we go.
You know I hate press release math. It is a tiny fraction up front. The rest is tied up in clinical milestones that might never happen. They are buying a lottery ticket and reporting the jackpot as the purchase price.
But it makes the market happy. Look at Apellis today. Shares are absolutely flying on that $5.6 billion buyout agreement with Biogen.
See, at least that one is a hard number, unlike the absolute soap opera with 2 harbors today.
Oh man, dumping UWM at the altar to pivot to cross-country?
Just a brutal breakup. This is why you always read the termination fee clauses, people.
Always. All right, we need to talk about the absolute behemoth in the grocery aisle. McCormick is attempting a $45 billion feast on Unilever's food business. The big one. $45 billion for mayonnaise and bouillon cubes. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the scale of this.
It is $29.1 billion in equity and $15.7 billion in cash. And yes, you are oversimplifying, but you are not entirely wrong. McCormick is essentially buying Unilever's entire pantry.
It is the ultimate banker pitch. You take the king of spices, you bolt on the king of condiments, and suddenly you have a $20 billion revenue juggernaut by 2025. I love this deal. It is a masterpiece of empire building.
A masterpiece? Nate, it is a massive corporate carve-out. Have you ever seen a clean carve-out from a European conglomerate?
Okay, fair point. The integration is going to require an absolute army of consultants, but strategically, it makes perfect sense. Unilever wants out of slow-growth food to focus on beauty and personal care. McCormick wants to own the entire flavor aisle.
I'm just not buying the undisputed heavyweight narrative the analysts are regurgitating today. Look at the cash component again, $15.7 billion. McCormick is levering upright when consumer spending is looking incredibly shaky. You do not just write a $15 billion check and hope the mustard sales hold up during a downturn.
You are looking at this like a credit analyst. Zoom out for a second.
Somebody has to look at the balance sheet while everyone else is cheering.
McCormick just bought absolute pricing power. When you own the black pepper, the vanilla extract, and now Knorr and Hellmann's, you dictate terms to Walmart, you dictate terms to Kroger. The grocery stores have absolutely no leverage left. That pricing power pays off the debt.
That is a highly optimistic take on grocery margin mechanics. I read through the pro forma projections this morning. They are baking in massive synergy targets to justify that $45 billion headline number. If they miss those integration targets by even 10%, the return on invested capital looks miserable.
You always hate the synergy math.
Because it is usually fiction. They are assuming they can seamlessly plug Unilever's global supply chain into theirs. Unilever operates in over 190 countries. McCormick is big, but taking on that international footprint overnight is a logistical nightmare. The footnotes in this press release are doing a lot of heavy lifting.
I think you are underestimating McCormick's management team. They digested Frank's, Red Hot, and French's perfectly a few years ago. They know how to integrate.
That was a $4 billion deal. This is 10 times that size. You cannot compare buying a bottle of hot sauce to ripping an entire multinational division out of Unilever. The execution risk is off the charts.
Ripping an entire division out of a conglomerate sounds like a great weekend for a private equity firm, honestly. Which actually reminds me, we need to talk about what Apollo is doing over in the private jet space.
Right. We have Apollo reportedly closing in on a $10 billion deal for Atlantic Aviation.
KKR must be thrilled to hand over those keys. I want to see the multiples on that buyout. Voices? I'm looking at a note from a major analyst right now calling this McCormick and Unilever deal a transformative play that instantly cements them as the undisputed heavyweight in global flavor.
Undisputed heavyweight. That is quite the poetry for a company buying mayonnaise and soup brands.
Come on, it is a massive carve-out. Nearly $45 billion total. $29.1 billion in equity and $15.7 billion in cash. You do not drop $15 billion in cold hard cash unless you are absolutely certain about the synergies.
Or unless you are desperate for top-line growth. I read the revenue projections. They are claiming $20 billion by fiscal year 2025. I want to know exactly what inflation assumptions they baked into that model. Because consumer spending on premium flavorings is not exactly on a hockey stick curve right now.
You are underestimating the shelf space monopoly this creates. It is a classic defensive strategy, just on a gargantuan scale. Every grocery store aisle is going to be paying the McCormick toll.
I will believe the $20 billion when I see the actual quarterly filings. But speaking of analysts getting overly excited, did you see the coverage on Primoris buying Pinecrest Electric?
I did. A $422 million buyout.
Right. And the commentators are calling it a, quote, highly strategic maneuver to aggressively capture the booming data center space.
The magic words, data centers.
Exactly. You buy an electrical contractor, slap the words data center on the press release, and suddenly you are an AI infrastructure play. It is brilliant corporate theater. I literally laughed out loud when I read it.
Hey, if the multiple expands, the bankers did their jobs. Just put AI in the footnotes and watch the stock pop. It is exactly like the pivot we are seeing with Two Harbors right now, which is a perfect segue. Have you seen what they just did to UWM? Spill the tea. I just want to know who had to make the actual phone call.
You mean the Two Harbors called a UWM?
Exactly. You have an existing agreement. The bankers are high-fiving. The press releases are probably already drafted. Then, boom, Two Harbors leaves them at the altar for cross-country.
It's brutal. But look at the cross-country offer. If you're on that board, you have a fiduciary duty to take the superior bid. You don't get points for loyalty and M&A.
I know, my inner banker is nodding, but my inner gossip columnist is living for the drama. UWM must be absolutely furious.
Oh, they're definitely making angry calls to their lawyers right now, checking the exact wording of the break fee.
Speaking of drama, did you see the Apellis chart this morning? Just a straight vertical line.
Hard to miss. The market is pricing in that Biogen buyout like it's already signed in blood.
Because it makes total sense. Biogen dropping $5.6 billion for Apellis is exactly the kind of aggressive pipeline fill they need right now. It's a perfect fit.
A perfect fit? Oh, come on, Nate. Biogen is just throwing money at the wall. $5.6 billion is a massive premium for a target that still has real regulatory hurdles. The market is getting way ahead of itself.
You always hate a big premium.
I hate when people ignore the clinical risk. Biogen has a habit of buying high and figuring out the commercialization strategy later. I need to see the actual term sheet before I buy this narrative.
Fair enough, but sometimes you have to pay up for the luxury goods. Just ask Apollo.
You mean the private jet rumor?
Not just a rumor anymore. Word on the street is Apollo is days away from writing a $10 billion check to take Atlantic Aviation off KKR's hands.
10 billion for private jet terminals. That is a lot of corporate fuel.
We'll see if the ink actually dries on those final signatures by tomorrow. But speaking of writing massive checks, I think we need to talk about the $45 billion elephant in the grocery aisle.
We absolutely do. McCormick is cooking up something massive. Tomorrow's radar.
I'm just sitting here waiting for Apollo to finally sign this Atlantic Aviation deal. $10 billion for private jet parking.
It's not just parking, it's fueling, maintenance, hangars. It's a monopoly on rich person convenience.
Sure, but $10 billion? KKR has to be laughing all the way to the bank on that exit.
Disagree, I think Apollo is getting a totally fair price. Look at the margins, they're completely insulated from inflation.
I just want the ink to dry tomorrow. What else is on your screen?
Mondays and GetLink. Regulators should clear that stake increase by tomorrow morning.
Call me when regulators actually block something. I'm way more focused on the Two Harbors drama, dumping UWM for cross-country at the 11th hour. That's the kind of messy breakup I live for.
You're such a gossip.
I'm a romantic, Maya. I just love a superior offer.
We'll track the fallout from that breakup tomorrow. See you then.